Welcome. I'm Christy Kavanaugh, principal at Morton West High School. I'm honored and excited to introduce the District 201 Black History Month Assembly this February of 2021. Black History Month was established in 1976 by President Gerald Ford, declaring that U.S. citizens celebrate the achievements and recognize the central role of Black history. Black History Month, more importantly, allows us to gain understanding of historical events and build important connections to the events of the past and the experience of the present day. A sense of appreciation and honor for the significant women and men that spearheaded a path to justice and inclusion is the highlight of Black History Month. Celebrating Black history provides us the chance to focus on different aspects of our narrative as Americans, including the written and spoken word, the amazing musicians and artists, and the women and men of athletics, business, politics, law, and society. Black history belongs to us all and is part of the diverse story of our nation. Let's find inspiration in the legacy that has been left to help us understand the struggles that have been faced by America's past and motivate each of us to rise above adversity and help create a better future. I know that you will enjoy this District 201 collaboration of student and staff voice about some of the inspiring and influencing moments of Black history. As Colin Powell said, have a vision, be demanding. I hope you enjoy the celebration.
Hello, my name is Jordan Montgomery, and I am a senior here at Morton West High School. And my favorite thing about Black History Month is the assemblies and acknowledging the Black struggle, the Black experience, with its creativity, with its writing, with its poetry, with its dancing, singing, and so on. My inspiration for Black History Month is, well, first off, one is my mom, because I love my mom, and my mom is so powerful and strong. Another one is MLK, which I know is generic, but MLK and Malcolm X are both these radical and progressive people who very much inspire me to be a better person. So I hope everyone has a great Black History Month and stay informed and stay educated.
I guess the moment I'm going to share with you is not necessarily a moment in Black history as much as it's a moment in the history of Black History Month. When I was in high school, our school held its first Black History Assembly, and our school's gospel choir performed at it. I was blown away by their version of Kirk Franklin's song, The Reason Why I Sing. Now, as an Irish Catholic, there's a good chance I could have gone my entire life without ever hearing that song on my own. But hearing the African-American students at my school perform that song really opened my eyes. I got that song in my head, and for the life of me, I could not get it out. So much so that I asked Miss Bell, the gospel choir director, who's also my Spanish teacher, if she put that song in cassette for me, which, to her credit, she did. I won't pretend that this led to a lifetime of me enjoying gospel music, but to me, it was an important lesson in people from different backgrounds participating in cultural exchanges. African-American history is American history. African-American culture is a part of American culture. And while different communities have different tastes and experiences and struggles, I think it's important to note that we all have tastes and experiences and struggles. And through cultural exchange, like the one at a Black History Assembly, we can find common ground and better learn to live with one another.
So Martin Luther King Jr. is a person that I think most about when it comes to Black history. Me and him share the same birthday. And ever since I was a kid, he is someone that I recognized as a great and inspirational leader. And he has a quote that I keep posted in my classroom all year. It says, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So although I love teaching math and critical thinking skills, it's important to live or to learn how to live a life with great, high quality character, just like Martin Luther King Jr. did so himself.
My favorite moment in Black history is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. It is a very powerful speech, and I found it to be very inspirational.
One of my favorite moments in Black history that makes me feel proud and happy, especially Frederick Douglass in his journey as an abolitionist. After escaping from slavery, he persuaded the rest of his life to fight for equality and human rights. He did everything in his power to make sure that people knew how wrong slavery was during his time and why they shouldn't support it. He published the book Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass with the goal to persuade readers that slavery should be abolished. Not once in his life did he give up. Every day he fought harder than last time with the hope that maybe one day everyone would be treated the same. There should be a moment in history that everyone should remember as it shaped history. With the help of Frederick Douglass, many people took a stand and said slavery is wrong. He showed leadership skills everyone could learn from. That is why I want to thank Frederick Douglass.
Hi, I'm Miss Rhodey here in the history department at Morton East. My favorite moment in Black history is when this lady right here, Ida B. Wells, during a women's suffrage march, refused to walk in the back of the parade. We all know Ida B. Wells as a supporter of anti-lynching laws and having the guts to tell the truth and gather information and put her life on the line to expose lynching in America, and even traveled to Europe to get international support to end lynching in America. But she was also very important in the women's suffrage movement. And from my understanding, she was the only Black woman in the Illinois delegation of a women's suffrage chapter. And the Illinois delegation was in the parade in Washington, D.C., this suffrage parade in Washington, D.C. And her own fellow members, white members of the women's suffragette movement, said, sorry, you can't walk with the white Illinois delegation. You're going to have to march. All the Black delegates have to march in the back. And she said, no, I am. And she went to the front of the Illinois delegation and marched alongside the white women. So that is one of my favorites. I just love how courageous and defiant and radical she always was throughout all of her work. So that's my favorite story in African American history.
Hi, this is Mrs. Lonergan from the Social Science and Special Education departments. There are so many moments in Black history that are amazing and inspirational, but most of them we've just read about in books or seen in a documentary. As far as my personal connection, there are a few that stand out. One of them was when I was at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. They have the bus that Rosa Parks rode when she refused to give up her seat. And so my family and I, boarded the little bus and sat there, and the tour guide was telling us about the incident, and he gestured to the seat where I happened to be sitting and said, and she was sitting right here. So that blew my mind to think, wow, I am sitting in the exact seat that changed history. A time when people said, no, this is not right, and I'm going to do something about it, and set into motion, tons of changes.
Hello, today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite creators. Her name is Jill Franco. She can be found all over social media, but the main one I follow is her Instagram. In her Instagram, she posts pictures of her traveling around the world and learning different languages. She also posts videos which can be very fun and relaxing, as well as can be about topics that are very difficult to talk about and more serious. And as of now, she's also doing some journaling challenges, which I find very amazing. Her journaling challenges are a little more deep and are very inspirational, because they make the person who would take the challenge to think more about their lives and the things that they want to do in the future, or things they would have wanted to do in the past. I think that she's a very amazing woman. She's very inspirational, and overall her mindset about doing things and taking challenges despite you being fearful of the outcome is something that I really admire of her. I think she deserves a lot more recognition from people all over the world who need someone to guide them to be a better person, and I think that's something that she does.
I wanted to talk about a young poet I recently discovered. Her name is Amanda Gorman. She is a 22-year-old poet and activist. Her poems focuses on the issues of oppression, feminism, and race. Gorman is the youngest inaugural poet ever in the United States and was the first poet to perform in the Super Bowl. I admire Amanda Gorman's well-spoken words, especially during tough times. She brings hope and relief with her writing. Her career is only starting, and she will be a great historic figure one day.
Hi, this is Mr. Sorensen. I wanted to celebrate Black history by talking about someone who's inspired me, and that's Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was the first Black man to play professional baseball, or in the MLB, and not only was he a fantastic player, which is probably secondary to the impact he had on our country, the impact he had on racist people's thoughts and minds. He changed a lot of opinions for people. He dealt with things that most players, really no other player in that time era, was having to deal with. And he did it with class. He didn't, even though he had 100% the right to fight back, he was respectful. He dealt with a lot, and on top of that, performed on the field. So he's a very historic player. He's someone that should be celebrated and thought about, and he's in a very important part of Black history to me.
Hi, my name is Mr. White. I'm a history teacher. My favorite moment in African American history took place in April of 1974. I was a little kid. I was 10 years old at the time, and Hank Aaron surpassed Babe Ruth on a Monday night on national television for the all-time home run champ in Major League Baseball. It was so exciting the days leading up to the event as Aaron got closer and closer and closer to Ruth's record. And Aaron was an African-American player, and I remember seeing I can just see it all vividly as I watched it on TV. I remember everything about it. The pitcher was Al Downing, who was also African-American. And I just was so happy. I knew I was witnessing something really, really important in baseball history and in our nation's cultural history. And at the time, I didn't even notice, or it didn't. In no way did I even think about him being Black. I just thought of Hank Aaron as being a baseball player. And when I went back later and read about the struggles he went through because he was Black, and the racist comments he received, and letters and threats that he received because he was Black, and he was about to break Babe Ruth's record, who was white, I was so impressed with what he went through, and what a shame it was that he had to go through that while he was achieving something great. So Hank Aaron, the all-time baseball record in his home run hitting champ in history.
Hi, I think an important moment in Black history is when African-American athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos won the gold and bronze medal at the 1968 Olympics, and while on the podium, rose their fist above their head in a symbol of Black power. To compete and win the world stage, and then use that as an opportunity to stand in solidarity with their community, I think is very important. And while they were criticized heavily by people at the time, they are now regarded as heroes, and that being a very brave thing to do. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ms. Delahanty, and I'm a French and EL teacher at Morton East. My favorite moment of Black history is probably a very millennial choice, but witnessing Barack Obama's victory speech in Grant Park in 2008 was really a special and important event in my life and in many people's lives. It was just really cool to bear witness to that moment in history and see our first Black president get elected. And it was really special because I think everyone in the crowd felt a sort of sense of hope and inspiration and energy, and like we were seeing something that had never been seen before. So that was really important to me, and I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life, and I hope we see it again and again.
My favorite moment in Black history is probably when Barack Obama in 2008 became the 44th president of the United States. For me, this one was important because he was the first African American president ever to run for the presidency and actually succeed and win. This one showed me a lot of things that with hard work and dedication, and if you put your mind to what you want to do, you can succeed in life and do anything no matter what your adversity is.
Hi everyone, happy Black History Month. My name is Leah Jackson and I am a school social worker at West. So my favorite moment in Black history would have to be something that I lived through, which was Barack Obama's election. I will just never forget election night. I was in college at the time. I was actually working on a paper in my apartment, and then when they called it for Obama, just the entire campus erupted. Like, it was like there were cheers and just this roar around me. Everybody came running out of their apartments, out of their dorms. They grabbed pots and pans, and there was just this amazing impromptu parade in Ann Arbor. It was just the coolest, most affirming thing that I've ever experienced, and it was really cool to live through Black history, and I will never forget that.
Hi, so for Black History Month today I am doing George Washington Carver. Not only was he the creator of peanuts butter, he also was the first African American in 1894 to earn a degree in science. He later on became the head of the agricultural department in the University of Tuskegee. He then went on to educate the Southern farmers about crop rotation, which helped boost their economy because they planted too much cotton. So he told them to plant other things like soybeans and peanuts and sweet potatoes, which helped boost that market. He then later on noticed that the demand with peanuts wasn't there, so he helped create peanut products like peanut paper, peanut soap, peanut lotion, which helped boost that economy. He gained the recognition of world leaders and scientists around the world. He even did a collaboration with Henry Ford to create a peanut alternative for rubber, which is really cool. So yeah.
A few years ago, I saw a poster which listed a vast amount of African American inventors. One of those was Sarah Boone, who invented and improved the current ironing board. She was also one of the first Black women in U.S. history to receive a patent. Mary Britton Brown devised an early home security system for her own home in 1966. Garrett Morgan invented the 3-light traffic signal. In 1923, the color IBM PC monitor and gigahertz chip were co-invented by Mark Dean. The inventor of the digital cell phone was Jesse Eugene Russell, and these are just a few of the Black inventors who were able to patent their genius creations that continue to influence our everyday lives.